what is happening in Tuskys, it is not about corona.
Customers wakaanza kupotea sababu stocks mingi haziko.
Actual financial looting, they expanded too fast.
Tuskys started like many of our small businesses. It was this small family-run shop in Nakuru that finally grew up into this very big East African supermarket chain, only for it to collapse back down to the ground a couple of years later. In this video, we'll be diving into what truly happened to Tuskys Supermarket. Was it greed? Was it family feuds? Or something much darker than we all anticipated? By the end of this video, you'll get to truly understand, number one, how did Tuskys get its humble beginnings? Number two, how did they grow into the giant that they were a couple of years ago? And number three, how did they eventually fall down to the ground? What really led to their collapse? But before we dive in, this video is sponsored by Tremby, which is an artificial intelligence tool that literally sells for you. Guys, we're in an interesting era. Now we have AIs that sell for us. Wow, just check out tremby.com to know more. The humble beginnings. To better understand Tuskys, we have to go back to the 1980s. At the time, Joram Kamau was a young entrepreneur working at another retail giant called Nomad. At Nomad is where he actually learned many of his skills. Things like understanding the local customer, how to deal with supply chain management, and how to strategically expand your business from branch to branch. The manager of Nomad at the time, called Atul, recognized Joram's business acumen and encouraged him to start his own venture. In 1985, Joram decided to open a small shop in Rongai, Nakuru called Gaki General Stores. Right from the very beginning, Joram had a very big vision. He didn't want just a small shop, he wanted an empire. So from Gaki General Stores, he rebranded and called the new shop Tusker Mattresses. From Tusker Mattresses, he later just shortened it to Tuskys, and this is what would come to begin to dominate the retail space in East Africa. The rapid rise and growth of Tuskys Supermarket. Through the 1990s and the early 2000s, Tuskys embarked on an ambitious expansion strategy. It looked at all the prime positions, the spaces where there was an urban population that was continuously growing, and at each of these corners, it strategically put a new branch. By 2010, it had over 60 outlets across Kenya and Uganda. What was fostering its growth is just one thing. Wherever there is a growing population, the team at Tuskys will put up a branch. Even if this means us borrowing money and having another branch slated, they were willing to do anything to make sure they grow. And this is what exactly they did in the 2000s. By 2010, the empire was flourishing. Yes, they had a few loans here and there, but they were extremely well managed. The decline of the empire. Challenges started showcasing in 2002 when Joram Kamau passed away. Keep in mind, Joram Kamau was the initial founder, and just like many founder-led businesses, he strived to make sure that regardless of what was happening in the background, there was real growth that was happening. However, from the time that he died, the fact that there was no clear succession plan began to show some cracks in an existing, thriving business. He had 4 children: John Kago Kamau, Samuel Kamau, Stephen Muhia, and Joseph Moore. Each of these felt like they should be the ones running the empire. Each of them felt like they were a better leader and they should be in charge of moving this empire to the next level. The true tension boiled over in 2012 when Stephen Kamau, the managing director at the time, was charged with assaulting his own brother Joseph. The worst bit is this was done in broad daylight where other people could clearly see what was going on. I mean, Yes, have struggles, yes, have squibbles, but let them be managed in the background. By the time it's now happening in the broad daylight with a lot of people, including your very employees, saying what is going on, was just a sign of what was unfolding. With no unity in leadership, the company began to slowly unravel. The same family that built the empire was now tearing up this empire one piece at a time. So to add insult to injury, around the very time they were going through all this fighting, they discovered 1.64 billion Kenya shillings missing. All this money had disappeared through fake payments and manipulated records. What this meant is the once profitable supermarket chain was now bleeding money. This was around the time they started failing to pay suppliers, failed to pay employees, and left so many of their monthly recurring expenditures unpaid for. So what could have saved this chain was a relationship they had with Chartered House Bank. However, just around the very same time, Chartered House Bank landed into its own set of issues. They had been evading taxes and laundering a lot of money. And because of its close relationship with Tuskys, the company ended up losing an extra 4.3 billion Kenya shilling. How much more could they take in? You're fighting internally, you're losing money, and even the last saving grace that would have come in to rescue you has also been blown out of the ocean. This was around the time that its descent truly started. By 2020, Tuskys was genuinely drowning in debt. Suppliers withdrew their products, employees were unpaid in some scenarios for up to a couple of years. Shelves were empty. At the very end, they thought they could maybe raise some money from investors, but at the time, it was too late. No one was willing to take a bet on Tuskys. This was around the time they were forced to begin closing their doors. What lessons do I draw from this fall? The most important lesson that I personally drew was one of leadership. Even as you're running a big empire, it's important you continuously update what is the leadership going to look like, what happens in the scenario that I'm not around. So many African businesses have the same thing. The moment the proprietor dies, the business always crumbles. Not just Tuskys, but the likes of Zimwe in Uganda, businesses in Tanzania, businesses in South Africa. It's all the same thing. It's important that if possible, you figure out how the structures are going to run without you. In some scenarios, step out when you're still alive so that you could even help the people that are running the business past that point to scale up. The main lesson I learned is a lesson of continuation of legacy. It was sad to see Tuskys go, but a fate that was coming from way back. For more documentaries like this, don't forget to follow my channel. I keep sharing these documentaries on a week-by-week basis, not just from Kenya, but Uganda as well, Tanzania, South Africa, Nigeria, documentaries from across the entire African continent. So if that's your kind of content, please drop me a follow. I share a lot of helpful tips on sales, marketing, and entrepreneurship so that you can learn how to improve your businesses. But that's all from me today, folks. Bye-bye for now. Don't forget to check out Tremby.com, the artificial intelligence tool that literally sells for you. I'm going to leave a link right here. For those in business, for those who are struggling with sales, this would be a game changer for you. Imagine a robot that literally looks for leads on your behalf, talks to them on your using your WhatsApp, follows up for you, gives you the power of like 10 to 20 sales reps even when you're a team of one person. So check it out on tremby.com/AI. Trust me, you'll be happy with me. Just come and thank me later.